Hello everyone. In this session, we'll be talking about working with the parameters. Parameters in Power Query provide a powerful way to make queries more dynamic and flexible by allowing the users to input the values that can be used to filter, transform, or customize the data retrieval. They enable users to create reusable queries that can adapt to different scenarios or user requirements without the need for manual editing. Here's how parameters work in Power Query. Number one is the creation of parameters. Users can create parameters in Power Query by defining their name, data type, and optional default values. Parameters can be created for various data types such as text, numbers, date, or list, depending on the type of input required. The next one is the parameterized queries. Parameters can be incorporated into the Power Query M expressions to create parameterized queries. Users can reference the parameters values within query logic to dynamically filter their data, control query behavior, or modify the transformation based on their user input. The next one is the dynamic filtering. Parameters can be used to dynamically filter the data within the queries. For example, users can create a parameter for the date range and use it to filter records based on the dates falling within the specified range. The next one is the conditional logic. Parameters enable the creation of conditional logic within the queries, allowing users to implement dynamic transformations or calculations based on the parameter values. This flexibility enables the users to customize the query behavior on different scenarios or user preferences. So here is this small mistake. This conditional logic is appearing two times. The next one is the prompt for user input. When refreshing queries, Power Query prompts user to input values for parameters, providing a user-friendly interface for parameterization. Users can enter values directly or select from predefined options, depending on how parameters are configured. The next one, or the sixth one, is the parameterized functions. Parameters can also be used to parameterize functions in Power Query. Users can define parameters for function inputs, allowing for more versatile and reusable query logics across different queries or datasets. The next one is the dynamic data source. Parameters can be utilized to create dynamic data source connections in the Power Query. For example, users can create a parameter for a file path or URL and use it dynamically to load the data from different files or web sources based on the user input. By leveraging these parameters in Power Query, users can create more dynamic, flexible, and reusable queries that can adapt to changing requirements or user preference. Parameters enhance the versatility and usability of the Power Query by enabling the users to create tailored data transformations and retrieval without the need for manual intervention. So let's go to the Power Query and see how can you create and manage these parameters. We are in our Power Query editor and we are working with a global superstore dataset. In this dataset, I have multiple columns and one of that columns is the country column over here. Now in this country column, I have got a list of around 147 countries because I have counted all the countries that are appearing over here. And these all countries repeat based on the order that has been placed from different source. So now the thing is that I need to create a parameter in which the user can input any country, or maybe I can specify few countries and I need to change my data dynamically based on the countries that I am entering. Now for that, what I need to do is I need to create some parameters over here. For that, you can go in this transform option. And the first thing to look over here is that you have this list of countries. So you need to extract this whole countries from it. So for that, you can convert it to the list and use this to then put a specific country of your need whenever you are filtering out the data. So before that, let's see how can you create these parameters and manage these. So in the home option, I have this manage parameter option. If I go in this manage parameter option, it would give me three options. The first one is to manage the parameters. The next one is to edit the parameters. And the last one is to create new parameters. Since I haven't created any parameter for now, I will click on new parameters. Over here, it would ask you that what is the name you want to give to the parameter. So let's say I want to filter my record based on a single country. And that country can be anything: India, New Zealand, Australia, whatever countries are appearing in your data. And you can do this for the list of all the other columns as well. For example, if you want to filter out your data based on some city or state, or with the help of any sales value or any specified date, you can also do that. For now, since I'm creating a parameter that would help me to filter out the records based on a specific country, I will name it as single country. Then you can provide a description over here. So let's say I will say that it filters the record based on specific country. Then it would ask you what kind of data are you expecting. So what kind of parameter is it? So if you go in this type over here, the first option is given as any. If you click over here, it would give you a specific data type. For example, is it a decimal number? Is it a date or time? Or is it specifically date or specifically time? Or is it date, time, or time zone? Then we have the duration, text, the true or false, or the binary values. So for now, I will click on text because my countries appears as text. Now it is asking you what is the suggested value. If you click over here, you can see that it is asking you that is it any value, a list of value, or is it a query. So if we talk about these three options, so for the first option, if you are giving any single expression over here, it would be counted as the any value. If you are having multiple options, then you can put it in the list of values. And if you are having too many options and you want these options to change whenever a new country also comes in, let's say if you are taking in some more records over there and a name of new country is also coming in or a name of anything new is also included in our data set, then based on that what you can do is you can use this query over here. So for now I'm using this any value and we'll be talking about these two also. In the value, let's say right now I'm giving the current value as India and I click on OK, and it would create a new parameter for me. You can see over here in the queries, this is filtered on base of India. If you click on the orders now, you will see that the filter has still not been applied and I am able to see the data from all these countries. Now to filter the data based on a specific country, what you can do is you can come over here on the top of the column, you can click over here in this arrow, and over here you can see the option of text filters. In the text filters, if you click over here in the equals option, it would open this new window for you. Now it is asking you that do you want to filter your records based on a specific value? So what you can do is you can provide a specific value over here and it would filter your record. But for now, I don't want to give it a specific record. I want to give it a parameter that I have recently made. So over here on the ABC, if you click, it would ask you that is it a text, is it a parameter, or you want to create a new parameter. So the process that we did right now of creating a new parameter, you can also do it with the help of this option of new parameter. Since I have already created a parameter, I will click on parameter and it would ask me which parameter do you want to use. Right now, I have only one parameter. So it is taking it. Then you can click on OK and you can see it has filtered the records based on our recent parameter. Now, again, if I click over here and it is asking me that what is your current value? I have given the current value as India. What if I am changing the values over here? Let's say I'm giving the record as New Zealand. And if I again come over here in the orders, you can see now the filter has been applied and the country that is showing is New Zealand. So whenever you are creating any parameter, you can come over here in the current value and you can change the values accordingly and it would filter your data according to. Again, if I go over here in the orders option, I can scroll to the right. So if you want to clear the filters out of it, you can click over here and you can use remove or clear filters. So I'll use this clear filters option and it would clear the filters out of it. Now talking about the another parameter that was the list of the values, I will again go in the manage parameters option, click on new parameters. Over here, I will name this parameter as multiple list or multiple countries. If you want to provide any description, you can provide or you can also leave it empty for now. Then the type I'm using is the text and the suggested value is not any value, it would be a list of values. So you will see it is giving me an option to create a list. So the first country that I want to keep in this list is India. The next one is New Zealand. And the third one is the United States. Since you are using a list of values and it is taking it in the form of text, you have to be very careful because it can be case sensitive. Now it is asking you what is the default value that you want to keep. So out of these three countries that I have provided, do you want to keep any default value for now? So I can choose the default value as India. And what is the current value that you want to keep? So the current value also I want to keep it as India. So it would show me currently the data which is belonging to India. So I will click on OK. Again, I will go in the orders, scroll towards the right where it says country, click on over here in these arrows, go in the text filters option, equal to, and again over here, I will choose the filter as parameter. So I will click on the parameters option and it would ask me which parameter do you want to use. So previously I created the single country parameter. I don't want to use it. I will use this multiple countries, and I will click on OK. And it has filtered the data which is belonging to India. Now, since previously when we created this single country filter, so we were coming over here and we were typing the values. But what if we have created a list of those countries? So if you go in this multi countries option, you will see I then get a drop down of all these countries. So since I set the current value as India, it is showing me all the data from India. Now I want to change the data from India to New Zealand. So I will click on New Zealand over here. And again, I will click on orders. So you can see that the data has now been filtered according to the value that I have given over here in the multiple countries. And you can play around and you can create a list of all the countries. Now let's say if you are working with this, and right now I am having the list of 147 countries, and suddenly a new order comes in and it belongs to a different country. Now you want to filter that data based on the new values also. For that, what you would do? So again, I will go in the orders option, and first I'll remove this filter. Now let's say if we are just duplicating this. So let me first duplicate this. I'm duplicating this in order to take out the list of all the countries that are present in our data set. For that, I will click on the country, click on the transform option, and over here I have this convert to list option. So I can convert it to the list. Now it has extracted that particular column and it has converted it into the list. But you can see there are multiple repeating values. You can see this Australia is repeating two times over here. Again, it is repeating over here. And on the 19th number also it is appearing. So I need to remove the duplicate values. For that, I can click over here. So I have to right click and I will use this option, remove duplicate values. After removing the duplicate values, you can see I've got the list of all the countries which are present in our data set, and there are 147 items. Now I want to use this particular list that I have created as a parameter. So for that, I will click over here, go in the manage parameters option, click on the new parameter. Again, I will give this the name of list of all countries. You can remove this description. If you're not required, you can leave it as empty. Then in the type, I can again put text because all this list of the countries was in the form of text. The suggested value, I can keep it as the query, and then I would get a drop down of the queries. So since I created this orders option over here, so I will use this. Now, what is the current value that you want to keep? Because it has got a list of countries, so it is asking you by default, what data is it supposed to show you? So I will again write India over here and click on OK. If you come over here in the orders, I will click on this country option, apply the text filter equals to, and I will give it the parameter of list of all countries and click on OK. So by default, it has filtered the data based on India. If you click over here in the list of all countries, you will see that it is giving me the current value as India. And now I can put it any value over here and it would then reflect the changes over there. So for example, I'm keeping the value as Australia. I will go in the orders and you will see that it has filtered our data based on that specific country that I have provided over here. So in this way, you can create a parameter and manage it. Now, it depends on the kind of parameter that you need. So if I go over here in the new parameters option, you can see I have got this data type and it supports all the data types that are present in the Power Query. So you can create any kind of parameter. Now the question arises, where can we use these kind of parameters? So let's say if you're working on multiple environment, let's say if you are working on the developer environment and then you are working on the production environment, and there you need to change these values multiple times. Let's say if you are extracting the data out of a SQL server, and there you need to change the usernames again and again. So in this type of thing, you can create a parameter and then you can change the values and then it would reflect the data based on those. Again, let's say if you are extracting the data and you need to take some user input over there, you need to filter out the records based on that. You can again create a parameter out of there to increase the interactivity over there. So in this way, you can create these parameters and you can manage it. If you don't need any parameter, you can click over here and you can use this delete option. And also you can edit it by coming on any parameter and then using this option of editing. So let's say if you wanted to add any other country over here, you can click over here and you can add that country as well. So if I add Australia over here and click on OK, it would add that specific country for you. So in this way, you can create and manage the parameters in Power Query. This was all for this session. Thank you.